All right. Welcome back, folks, to the FF Face Off. And today we are coming at you with our NFL Divisional Round picks, predictions, all that fun stuff. We'll give you our thoughts, maybe tell you some bets we like, maybe a cat story here or there. We'll see. We'll see how the show evolves. But I will tell all of you guys, feel free to go to fffaceoff.com for all of your fantasy football, NFL, sports betting needs. Also, if you're into Dynasty, we got a ton of content coming out on YouTube and on the website. So a lot to check out. YouTube, of course, search FF Faceoff. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon, be notified every single time we go live. Instead of being awkward and saying everybody's name and then asking everybody to go around the room like as if we're in fucking kindergarten and we all have to introduce ourselves, I'll just announce names again. My name is Michael Hopp. You can follow me on X at the FF Realist. I'm joined by Anthony Savino, who could be followed the Real NFL Guru, Steve D'Angelo at Fantasy Savvy, Tyler, who could be followed at tfarmer_34, Mr. Pete Nova, who could be followed at Supernova38. He's got 2 R's. That's how important he is. And then last but not least, Matt at the FF Mediator. So there you go, fellas. So I've introduced everybody. We all good tonight? Everybody good? We're good?
Yeah. Good.
All right. Pete, since you were so hot and bothered about showing the graphic with the record, if you feel like pulling that up just to recap wild card weekend as it was, we had 2 of us finish at 5-1 on the week. It was not me. It was Pete and Steve at 5-1. I was at 4-2. Coach Tyler and Matt were along with me at 4-2, and Anthony bringing it up the rear at the old 3-3. Anthony, any thoughts there on going 3-3?
Not surprised. I'm not always the best in the playoffs, and I don't really do well with sides and totals in the NFL. I stick to my props and touchdown score bets, but I'll keep going back in.
Very good. And Pete, you couldn't wait for us to show that graphic. So, do you have any comments on being 5-1?
No, I felt pretty good about that Rams pick. So I was happy about that one. Yeah, I felt pretty good about that. But
Steve, I'll give you the floor.
Yeah. I would say I was in a Survivor. We were down to 3 guys, and last second we were debating whether to take the Chargers or the Rams, and I wanted to take the Rams. I was getting a little bit iffy on the Chargers down the stretch there, and I didn't expect the game to go like that. And the way it started, too. I mean, they came out so dominant, they just couldn't take care of business. And everything just completely fell apart after that. So that was the one game obviously got wrong. But, good win for the Texans. Joe Mixon finally got it going again.
All right. So there we go. So with that being said, we'll get into the divisional round here. We're going to go in order that the games are played, even though Anthony wanted me to go in reverse order. We're not going to do that. So sorry, Anthony. But all right, we'll get into the first game here. It is the Houston Texans at the Kansas City Chiefs. This is on Saturday at 4:30. Chiefs are favored by 8.5. The over-under is 41.5. None of us picked the Texans last week. That was all an L that we all took. I have a feeling we're going to double down on that and do that again. Does anybody want to make any kind of case here for the Houston Texans at all? Can anybody around the room make a case? Or we all just no?
I mean, you can make a case.
Go ahead. I think it starts with the defense. If that defensive line can apply pressure to Mahomes, who's already struggled this season, there's a chance. I don't think it's a very big one, but there's a chance.
Yeah. All right, Steve, you're with them a little bit.
I mean, the way Mixon looked, that was kind of like when Mixon is going. He was getting his stiff arm going. He was bouncing out to the outside, and then their defense, obviously with Stingley Jr. and Laster, those guys played lights out. And then Anderson, Hunter were getting tons of pressure. And these 2 teams played recently. I mean, it was 27-19 back in December. Tank Dell played in that game, but now he's out, obviously. So it was close, but it's tough in the playoffs against Andy Reid with all this time off to pick against the Chiefs.
Do you think all of the time off, it could be a negative? Normally it's 2 weeks. We're going on. I think the last time Kansas City played was Christmas Day. No. I feel like a little too long.
Well, they bench a lot of their guys, but I don't think it's a big deal.
No.
Yeah, I think with this team is a veteran team. I mean, they're champions. They've won 3 Super Bowls. So I mean, they just know what to do. This is like riding a bicycle for them. So if it was any other team, I would say maybe, but it's Andy Reid and the Chiefs, and they've won multiple championships. I would say no.
Yeah, Andy Reid historically is the best coach in NFL history coming off of a bye. The only thing I would say about this is when you look at the first game, it wasn't like, I mean, Kansas City won 27-19, and Tank Dell was the leading receiver, 6 for 98 and a touchdown. Obviously, he's not playing in this one. Nico started really strong, and then they kind of went away from him. But Kansas City offensively didn't do a whole lot. I mean, nobody really stuck out. They spread the ball out really well. Xavier Worthy had 7 for 65. Samaje Perine had 3 for 50. Hollywood Brown 5 for 45. Like, there wasn't a lot of chunk plays. And I mean, if this is going to be a defensive game, I don't see why, as long as Houston's offensive line doesn't get eaten alive, this should be close. The 8.5, I would take Houston to cover here on 8.5, because to me, they kept it close, even though it's at 19-27. Remember when Tank Dell went down, that whole game flipped. Emotionally, It seemed like, Stroud was kind of in a weird place the rest of the game. Everybody on that team just seemed like they completely lost their mojo. So, I mean, I'm not picking Houston to win, but I will take them to cover that spread, because I think both of these defenses will keep this game close. And Kansas City's offense we started to think, oh, they figured things out. But, I mean, they had a good game against the Steelers, but we've only really seen them have, like, that offense start to really work well together once. And they didn't start their starters. I would have liked to see Hollywood Brown maybe get some reps in that last game against Denver when they benched the starters. They didn't really give him a chance to, I would have liked him to get more reps in this offense. So I think they cover the spread. I think it's closer than the spread suggests.
Tyler, you got any thoughts on that? You with Pete in terms of the spread at least, or what?
Yeah, I am. Sorry, excuse me. I am for sure. I would take the spread here. I do think it's a defensive battle. I think it'll probably be somewhere like 24-17-ish in that range, or both teams in the 20s. I expect it to be a more defensive battle. The one key that I could say for the Texans is they have to control this game. They've got to control the clock. That is the only way I see them winning. You have to keep Mahomes off the field. We've even seen him with 12 seconds be able to do it. Now, poor clock management, aside, but you have to keep him off the field. If that defensive line can get some pressure and they can get Joe Mixon going, I think there's a way there. There's a real small route that they can get to win. But I would take them to cover pretty confidently, I do believe.
Is anybody else here taking Houston plus that 8.5? Willing to, I should say.
No.
Yeah, I'll go ahead.
Yeah, I don't feel confident. I think the number is pretty close. I would say it's right around 9. I think it's 8.5. So it's tough for me to pick either side. If I had to lean a certain way, I'd lean the Chiefs with Reed and Mahomes giving the advantage, and being home in Arrowhead and the experience and everything. So I would lean the Chiefs. I don't know if I'd make it I don't think it's a strong pick for me or an official pick for me yet, but I would lean the Chiefs.
Yeah, Kansas City, they're not historically a good team in the Mahomes-Reed era, especially the past few years covering the spread. But down the stretch, 3 out of their past 4 games they've covered. The only one that they have not covered was the Week 18 blowout against Denver when they played their backups. So they were getting hot and covering going into the playoffs. And I think, we saw 5 out of 6 games were blowouts last week. And this is a very top-heavy league this year. I think there were 12 or 15 teams with double-digit wins, and then we had the most teams with under 5 wins since 2004, 2005. The elite teams, though, as we are seeing, they're in a class of their own, and I think Kansas City is one of them, and Houston's going to walk to a buzzsaw this week. I think this is a double-digit point victory for Kansas City.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to be surprised if the Texans manage to cover, but if I'm putting my money on the line, which I probably will be, I'm gonna go ahead and take KC with that 8.5. I will just say this is why I drafted Travis Kelce in almost all of my playoff best ball lineups, because time for the big boy to shine. He said on Pat McAfee that he's feeling like he's 22, which is a clear Taylor Swift reference, but yeah. So I expect Kelsey to come out swinging. Either way, I guess we're all picking the Chiefs. So that's a clean sweep.
And just me and Tyler on the spread, right?
Right. Just you and Tyler on the spread. Yeah. We'll get Coach's reaction on the spread, but Coach did go ahead and pick the Chiefs as well. So
yeah, I'll just say, the Chiefs have been playing close games all year. Maybe with now Hollywood Brown back, Xavier Worthy, playing his true position. Pacheco, we'll see how healthy he is. He hasn't looked healthy since he came back. And then if they could shut down Mixon and slow him down, I don't think they'll have an issue taking care of business here. So, we'll see. They played close games all year. They got the bye. Maybe they change, they got a lot of things up their sleeve this week. Guys a little healthier, guys a little more accustomed. So it'll be interesting to see. I think Houston could definitely play him tough. I just have a tough time seeing them win the game.
To me, this screams Texans play tough first half and then fall apart late second half. And that's when and then that's where Anthony's gonna get that double digit win, like he's talking about. So all right, so there you go. Let's get to the other game on Saturday night, 8 p.m. The Washington Commanders at the Detroit Lions. Detroit is favored by 9.5. This is the highest over/under of the divisional round, that being 55.5. I mean, I like the Lions in this game. I get it. There's going to be a lot of people all excited about the Commanders. They just won this emotional win against the Buccaneers. Everybody's all excited. Jaden Daniels the man. I get it. Ride the hot hand. Meanwhile, the Lions have been pretty much dominant all year round, and they've just been waiting for this opportunity. I think if we're overexcited about the Commanders, I think we're underestimating the home field advantage that Detroit brings. Ford Field will be loud and proud on Saturday. I'm thinking the Lions are going to win here. I'm a little torn on the covering, though, because I do think the Commanders can make it close late, but I like the Lions in this matchup. And this wasn't even really much of a hesitation for me. I do think it's a good idea, though, to go to Matt on this one and let Matt kick it off on his thoughts.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with my Commanders here. I think the narrative is the Lions are unbeatable and they're a really good team, but there's something to be said about the pressure. And the Lions spent the entire season, like you said, dominating a lot of teams. They did have some close games, but for the most part, they showed their muscle the entire season. And it came down to the wire for them just to get the 1 seed. And here we are. We're in the playoffs. They still aren't completely healthy. Washington's on fire. They've won 6 straight games. They're pretty good against the spread this season, too, if you're looking at the betting wise. But there's no pressure for Washington. Nobody expected them to be here. Most people didn't even expect them to win last week. So they're going in there free. And not only that, that defense is just loaded with vets. We know that defense travels. And yes, Washington's defense hasn't been the most stout thing this year. But with names like Bobby Wagner, Frankie Louvu, Jeremy Chin, Dante Fowler, like those names matter. Like those are the guys that show up when it matters most. On offense, Jaden Daniels looks as composed as anybody in the league. The rookie has been stone cold in the pocket the entire time. I mean, last week they didn't even punt. Tress Way didn't touch the field. So I think this team knows that when it comes down to it, they're going to have to control the ball, control the clock, run some time off, and just keep it a game. And if they keep it a game, I think that's something that they can accomplish. They can win it. I mean, they've played a ton of close games this season. I joked with you guys about them being a team of destiny, but I believe it. I believe that this team truly thinks that they can win this game.
Yeah, which I will take the opportunity to say that Coach said that the destiny ride, so to speak, is over. He's picking the Detroit Lions here. Is anybody want to go with Matt on the Washington Commanders? Anybody?
I'm going to take the Commanders on the spread, plus 9.5. I don't think they're going to win the game, but I think it'll be close. We saw what Jaden Daniels did against Baltimore. They went into Baltimore. They almost beat Baltimore. Then against Philly, the way he finished that game against that defense, I think they kicked 3 field goals last week. I think they were 2 of 5 in the red zone. So that kind of hurt them putting up more points last week against Tampa. But I think this is going to be a back and forth game. I think Jaden Daniels could definitely move the ball on this defense. So I think, if Goff makes a couple of mistakes, maybe they could pull the game off. But with Montgomery back, the way Gibbs, the way Ben Johnson's been calling plays, the last couple of years, and Gibbs is always freaking wide open. Laporte is wide open. Jameson Williams stepping up this year. Their offensive line at home. I just think for them to win this game, I think it would be a gigantic upset. So I don't see it, but I do see them covering. So I actually like the points. So I'm going to take 9.5 and maybe 10 if it goes up a little bit higher.
I'll take the Commanders to win, actually. I know it sounds spicy. I'm definitely going to take them to cover. But I mean, last time the Lions played a Russian quarterback, it was Lamar Jackson, and it was last year, and they lost 38-6. This is a defense, and I look at it. It's the same thing. Me and Anthony have talked about this. When teams play Lamar Jackson, especially NFC teams, once every 4 years, I always take the props for Lamar because he always has good games. Because teams have trouble game planning for a guy like him that they don't see. They see once every 4 years. When you look at this Lions defense, they're banged up right now, and it's going to be a tall task. I'm not going to sit here and say that I feel extremely confident in this pick, but there's something about this Commanders team. Dan Quinn's defense is playing well. If the Commanders defense can play average, I think they have a really good shot, because this Lions defense, while they play tough, when they're middle of the pack against quarterbacks that scramble, and they haven't played a rushing quarterback at all this season outside of Kyler Murray, and they beat Kyler Murray and the Cardinals by 7, 20-13. Now, that was earlier on in the year, but there's something to be said about going up against a rushing quarterback, and the way Jaden Daniels is playing. The defense for Washington has started to play better. They're getting pieces back. I think Payne's back, and Matt can correct me if I'm wrong. I know Marshawn Lattimore's back. I don't know what kind of condition Montgomery is going to be in. Now, Jahmyr Gibbs has stepped up, and he's looked good. But to me, it's indoors. Both teams have an advantage with the weather, being that it's indoors. And there's something about this Washington team that's just telling me that they're going to upset here. So I'm going to take the Commanders in this one.
Anthony, you were about to talk. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Detroit to cover, but depending on where you could find the number, I like 9.5. Just in case 10 pushes. I don't think this is going to be a monster blowout like we saw in a few games last week. I think it's going to be right around like a 10, 13 point victory for the Lions. I just don't. Again, they're in a class of their own. I think there are 3 teams in the NFL right now. Maybe if you want to throw Buffalo in there, but to me, it's really Kansas City, Baltimore, and Detroit. They're the league's elite right now, and it's going to be one of those 2 AFC teams in Detroit, I believe, in the Super Bowl. And I just don't see this. The Washington story's been fun. They got their first playoff win, but Detroit, that Minnesota game in Week 18. I was on Minnesota, and Detroit steamrolled them. It was not even close, and that told me right there, okay, I need to start putting more respect on the Detroit Lions, whether I like them or not, whether I think they're too cocky or not. They have a reason why they're walking around with that swag right now, and it's a home game. They had a Super Bowl appearance in San Francisco slip out of their hands last year. I don't think that happens, and I think they're going to keep their foot on the gas this week.
Yeah, Commanders are plus 400 on the money line. You can get 9 at BetMGM. By the way, Pete Richardson ran for 61 on them, and Allen ran for 68 yards and 2 touchdowns on them. And Anthony,
right.
you forgot to mention the Bills as one of the top teams there.
No, here we go.
Yeah, I didn't really.
We'll get to you wearing your Bills pajamas to bed.
It doesn't make any sense.
The Bills that got steamrolled by Baltimore early in the season.
Yeah,
but
they have no chance to win the Super Bowl.
Here we go. Okay, yeah, here we go. We're gonna talk Bills and
We
Ravens.
got to beat Baltimore first.
All right, I'm just saying you didn't even include them in a chance to win the Super Bowl. It's not like they can't not beat Baltimore.
Jesus, just give him his fucking flowers and let him be happy.
We'll get to the
trying to make sense.
We didn't even get to Tyler yet. We just Anthony say something nice
Tyler,
about the Bills so Steve can quiet for a minute.
I was going to let y'all fight it out. I was going to let y'all fight that. I was going to let you fight it out there.
Don't worry. There'll be plenty of fighting towards the end of the show. Don't worry about that.
So I do like that we brought up the Bills, though. Pete was saying, they hadn't really faced a rushing quarterback. Now, do what?
No, I just said, damn it, Tyler. Good.
Well, I'm just saying, like we were talking about rushing quarterbacks. Josh Allen did have a really good game against them. Now it's a different type of running style. Josh Allen's more likely to run over you. Jaden Daniels will probably run around you because he's, a whole lot faster than you would think. That being said, though, even when they played Josh Allen, the Lions team kept it close. Like it was only a 6-point game. So my thing here, I kind of agree with what Pete said as far as if the Commanders team, if their defense can keep it close, if they can play average, I do think they have a shot to win. I would pick them, what we said, 9.5. I would pick them to cover, but I don't think I'd pick them to win. I just think the Lions have too many weapons on offense. It's absurd. You have Amon-Ra, you have Jameson Williams, you have Gibbs. If Monty comes back and he's healthy, then there's another one. And guess what? Everybody's forgot about him except for at the end of the season. They also have Sam Laporta. So I would take the Lions just based off of their ability to score. Now, yes, their defense is banged up. And I do think that that Washington will put a bunch of points up. I would take the over on this game. I would take Washington to cover, but I would take the Lions to win.
That's actually literally where I'm going. I could be talked into the Commanders covering because I do think that they've got some fight in them. Because just like Matt said, I mean, they had won. What did you say about the last 6 games?
6 in a row.
Yeah, 6 in a row. So yeah, so I don't think they go out with some kind of whimper. So I do think that they cover, but I just think that home field advantage will be enough to put Detroit over the top. And yeah, I also like the over. Does anybody else like the over on this one? Only because it's the highest of the weekend.
I mean, I would go. I would probably go there with the over. I mean, we all like the over last week for the most part against the Rams. I mean, against the Bucks. But again, the Commanders did shitty in the red zone. That kind of cost them. But yeah, I mean, I would not bet the under in this game. That's for sure.
No.
Yeah. But by the way, when you look
you don't like fun if you bet the under in this game. That's for sure.
Yeah. Right.
When you look at the Lions' schedule this year, and I'm not taking anything away from them, but I mean, outside of the Packers twice, they played the Vikings twice. They don't have any quality wins, though. And I'm not saying that this team, and Anthony's rolling his eyes, but name a good team on their schedule that they beat.
But you can go through every team. You're like,
no, but I know, but you're sitting here saying because they beat the Vikings, that changed your mind. We just saw the Vikings get dog walked by the fucking Rams. I mean, are the Vikings that good?
They won 14 games.
Okay, but the
Vikings won a bad year. There's a lot of teams won a lot of games.
But that's my point. It's a bad year. So teams that are not actually that good have inflated records, if anything. Would that not be the case? That teams that aren't that good have inflated records?
Okay, so where are the? I mean,
saying the Lions aren't that good, though. I don't. Is that
no, I'm not saying that the Lions aren't that good.
Where's
that's
the quality
not what I'm saying.
Commanders?
But they don't.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Washington beat
Philly. He's trying to. He's not
Philly
saying. But to say that the Commanders haven't played the hardest schedule in the world doesn't also mean that he's saying that they stink. It doesn't. One extreme doesn't mean the other.
Lions.
Yeah, Lions. Whatever.
Correct.
One extreme doesn't mean the other.
I mean, Commanders, their schedule was not easy this year either. And they have a ton of good wins? No, but they beat Philly, who's a really
when you watch the Lions, do you think they're a really good team or just an average,
I think they're a good team, but I really think that they didn't really face that much great competition this year. They got taken to the ropes against the Bears, 23-20.
Well, the Bears played them close twice last year too.
So the 49ers played them close with a banged up team. I mean,
they went out.
Texans,
you got
the Texans by 3.
You got to give the Lions.
Let the guy finish his point here. Jesus.
No, I'm just saying they beat the Texans by 3. They beat the shit out of Dallas. Congrats. I mean, they were starting Cooper Rush at the time. They beat the Cardinals by 7. Bucks beat them by 4. I mean, they've lost to the best teams on their schedule. The Bucks are one of the best teams, and the Bills beat them too. The only teams that they beat that were good this year were the Packers twice and the Vikings, which I get it. Their records were awesome, but this whole division played a shit schedule. All of them played the same teams. That's why all of their records were so good this year. They all played soft schedules.
I'm going to go to Steve. I'm going to go to Steve on this one. The only thing I would say to you about the Packers thing is that the Packers were
a good team. The Packers are a good team.
No,
but some of these bad teams that Detroit played, they kicked the shit out of them.
Really? I just told you they beat the Bears by 3. They barely got out
Dallas,
of that game.
47-9. Tennessee, 52-14.
Dallas and Tennessee don't even have quarterbacks. I mean, what are we talking? They don't even have
I don't understand. Hold on.
I mean, come on.
I don't understand. Why are we trying to discut the Lions based on schedule? I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
Nobody's discounting the Lions.
You are. You're discounting them.
Anthony's saying that they're going to basically beat the brakes off of them, though. That was what he said. He said that he doesn't think it's going to be close.
I don't think that's going to happen.
That's what I'm saying. Like I'm not saying Commanders are going to go out there and beat the piss out of the Lions, but to say it's not going to be close, I just don't see it. They've let a lot of bad teams keep these games close outside of, yes, the Dallas Cowboys who basically threw out. I don't even know if Dak was playing that game. I think he was. Fair enough. Okay. Dallas was terrible this year. They were better with Cooper Rush, and they beat the Titans 52-14. And I mean, who knows what Titans team was going to show up? I mean, outside of that, a lot of and they beat the piss out of the Jaguars. They beat the shit out of the 3 teams that are going to be drafting top 5 this year. Outside of that, I mean, a lot of teams kept it close with them. That's all I'm saying.
They played a lot of. I mean, they beat the Rams. They played. They beat the Vikings twice. But I mean, when you watch, and they went toe to toe with Buffalo. When you watch the Lions going back to last year, they're fucking. Like Anthony said, they almost beat the Niners. They should have won that game. They're home. They're a fucking unbelievably coached team. They're very, very talented. Can the Commanders keep it close? Sure, but I mean, you can't. Just based off schedule, what I'm saying, like, you can't really just fault them for that. They're still a fucking very, very
absolutely. They're a top 5 team in the NFL. That's I totally agree.
The only things I was going to add was Anthony, I would just like it to be noted that somebody brought up the 49ers on this podcast before I did. So there's something to be said for that. And also B, Pete, you did mention we'll get that in 1 second, ATL. But Pete, you'd mentioned the Packers talking about teams that they beat. The Packers were also, I believe, 0-6 against teams with a winning record or some shit like that. They didn't do well against top teams. But the whole point of this is one extreme. Like, we're talking about 2 different extremes. I think the Commanders can keep it close. I think the Lions win. Me and Tyler are the smartest guys in the room here on that one. So that's where I'm going. So there you go.
I got one more thing to add. Matt, what do you think about the Lions against the Commanders' run day? Because that could be a disaster, don't you think?
Yeah, Pete, that's what I was about to mention, Steve, actually, was the line of scrimmage to me is the most important part of this game. Deron Payne, he dislocated his thumb last week. He's supposed to play, so that's good. But Jonathan Allen's back too. Allen's missed a majority of the season. He's played the last couple weeks, but he's kind of been getting into his form. Those are the 2 guys that are going to matter the most, because I don't think that the Lions have really faced a duo like that. I mean, they've kind of been discredited because they haven't played. And, we like Dexter Lawrence and several other big men, but those 2 in the middle, they've played together for almost a decade. They can read each other. They're great. And with Bobby Wagner, I think that's what's going to matter most. If they can shut down the Lions' run game, that's going to force Jared Goff to make some throws. Now, that puts a lot of pressure on Lattimore, on Saint Strill, and God forbid, Benjamin St. Juice. But I think it can happen. But it's really going to matter about what happens at the line of scrimmage. Because even on offense for Washington, that offensive line, there's not a sexy pick on there. It's just a bunch of beefcakes, dude. Like, they get after it. Like, they're not great, but man, will they hit you in the mouth. And that's when it matters. Like, right now it's the playoffs. You got to hit them in the mouth. So I'm really excited to see what they can do, because this is definitely the best team they've played all year. I'll say it. I think the Lions are really, really good. We can go back and forth about who they beat, who they didn't beat. But here's what we know. They're playing for a chance to go to the NFC Championship. So both of these teams are good teams, and I think they're really well coached, and they're going to go in there prepared. But I do think there's something to be said for the pressure that the Lions have.
All right. So Tyler, myself, Anthony, and Steve, we're all going Lions
to win.
And then, yeah. Right. Yeah. No, we're just talking about wins right now. We're mentioning the spread. We'll make note of it, but just talking about the win outright. And Pete and Matt, you guys are going with the Commanders, right?
Yeah. Good pick,
That's
Pete.
And
Good
then
pick.
and then coach is going with the Lions as well. So, all right.
Can the Commanders get pressure on Goff? Do you think they could get because obviously when Goff is when you get to Goff, he kind of can crumble a little bit. That's so hard though.
I'm more worried about that than the run, because Washington's run defense in between the tackles, they're actually ranked number 2 in the NFL this year for run defense. It's outside of the tackles that they get beat. And if they draw up a lot of, stretch runs with Gibbs, that's probably where they get hurt the most. But it's really against the pass. If they can be average against the pass too, and the run defense can show up, I think they have a chance. But
that's where Frankie Louvu comes in, I think. I mean, the guy's been a madman rushing the passer. I don't know how many sacks he has. I'd guess 8 to 9.5, but he's applied pressure all year. So if he can get after Jared Goff, that's going to really help this defense.
One thing, too, I do want to mention one thing, because the mediator chat that we have has talked about this multiple times, and I just want to bring it up. I think the only thing that could plague the Lions in a game like this is if it stays close, if the Commanders can keep it close and Dan Campbell decides to get aggressive and do his thing like he's done all year, that's great. But if he gets over aggressive just on a play or two, that's all it takes in a close game to turn the tides. So at some point, does he get too aggressive and make a mistake there? We'll have to see. But I do think there is a path that where if the Commanders do keep it close and Dan Campbell gets a little bit too aggressive, I think there is a chance for them to win there. That's for sure.
I mean, you guys referenced that NFC Championship last year, and that's how they lost it was Dan Campbell getting too cute, getting too aggressive, too cute. That's really what did them in. I mean, Niners did what they did, but Dan Campbell played his hand too hard, and he lost that NFC Championship. So yeah, there is that. All right. Any other final comments over this hotly contested game? No,
Anthony.
Anthony looks like he's still looking at stats, like it's fucking Goodwill Hunting looking at the chalkboard. You good? All right, he's done. Okay. All right, let's get to Sunday. No, but to be fair, when Anthony's looking at stats, something usually good comes out. All right, let's get to Sunday. The first game on the Sunday slate is going to be the LA Rams at the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are favored by 6. The over-under is 43.5. I will just quickly say before I go get a beverage and kick it off to one of you fine gentlemen, this was probably my biggest internal debate this week over who would win this game. Then I looked back at week 12 and I looked at Saquon Barkley, and he had 255 yards rushing, 2 rushing touchdowns. And just for good measure, he had 4 receptions for 47 yards. It's over 300 total yards of offense. Granted, over those in the 7 games since, that's including the wild card round, they allowed the lead running back to have a total yard average of 77.8. So, I mean, that said, going into this week, as of right now, in today's NFL right now, they are going up against the best running back in the NFL and the best offensive line in the NFL. So I think that 77.5 over those last 7 weeks, that's going to blow up a little bit. And I think this is a good opportunity for the Eagles to go ahead and win this one. I think A.J. Brown, even though he had 109 yards in that same week 12 game, I think this is a good time for him to read some of his book, because I think they're going to feed Saquon Barkley the ball. There is snow in the forecast, but that also helps the Rams, in my opinion, because the Rams, even though they're in LA, they play indoors, they are built to play outdoors. They have a good running game. Their defense has been playing well. So I actually think the Rams can cover here, but I'm going to go with the Eagles. I think this is a close one. So with that being said, I will actually go to Anthony first. And Pete, apparently some super chats were sent in, but
go ahead,
So
Anthony.
do you want to do the super chats first, or do you want
It's
to?
it's ATL. He said the problem with the Bills is a lack elite quarterback, and he said who will be more successful, JJ Dillon or McCarthy.
Jesus.
Thanks for that, brother.
So this Philly Rams game is really hard for me because I do see a path for the Rams to go out and win this outright. Their defense, and Pete noted this the whole time, down the stretch, they've been outstanding. Some of the opponents, a little bit easy, but you can only play who you play, but they've dominated those opponents defensively. They obviously dominated defensively last week. Now, that Saquon Barkley dominant game, I guess my question is, will the Rams sell out and try to take out Saquon Barkley? Because I think that's their path to winning. Put the ball in Jalen Hurts' hand. I get that sounds crazy, but I trust Jalen Hurts to make a mistake more than I trust, Saquon Barkley not to go off if they're not focusing on shutting him down. AJ Brown, how mentally invested is he right now? That comes to mind. I think you can certainly get pressure as good as that Eagles front line is on Jalen Hurts. So I think, can the Rams maybe stack the box, try to take out Saquon, put the ball into Jalen Hurts' hands? That's their path to winning. Cooper Kupp has been non-existent. Cooper Kupp, I think the last game he actually played well was either against Philly or Buffalo, and he disappeared. Cooper Kupp needs to make plays in this one. It can't just be the Puka Nacua show. Yeah. So I will take the Rams to cover in Philly, but I don't know if I can pick them outright. My gut tells me the Rams win, but my head tells me that's crazy.
No, it's crazy, but
well, I'm with you. I think Rams cover the spread here. I think Eagles win outright. The problem is when I look at the matchups here, I don't see one single advantage that the Rams have outside of quarterback and coach. Call me crazy. You put Matt Stafford on this Eagles offense. I think this Eagles offense looks way better. I think he's a better quarterback even right now than Jalen Hurts. And look, to Jalen Hurts' credit, the coaching staff hasn't asked him to do a lot. And so we haven't really seen what Jalen Hurts can do as much. Yeah. Right. So, that they're winning because of that. But to Anthony's point, if they can stack the box and force him to throw the football, how do they look? Right. I mean, he's having trouble throwing over the middle of the field. And so do they take deep shots? And to be honest, that's where the Rams defense can get beat is getting the deep shots, giving up the chunk plays. So, Matt's boy Forbes is now in this secondary, and he freaking stinks. Emmanuel Forbes, he's a starter on this defense. So I just don't see a key advantage here. The big thing for me, Rams cover, in my opinion, just because the Eagles have shown us as of late that they will keep games close. They will not put their foot on the throat. Especially offensively. Defensively, this is arguably the best unit in the NFL right now. Definitely the best unit left in the playoffs, in my opinion. I just don't see I just don't see a path for the Rams. I mean, and I just don't see it. And I like the Rams, and I think if the Rams can win this game, I think I will probably take the Rams to beat the Lions or the Commanders, whoever ends up coming out of that game. But I just don't see a key advantage here for them. I just don't see how they do it. I'm having a hard time, and I love the Rams. I took them last week, but I just don't see it outside of quarterback and coach. And unless Nick Sirianni just coaches a stinker, and Jalen Hurts is asked to do too much. I just don't see it.
Who's next? Who wants it?
I'll go next.
There you go. Get there.
I think, this defensive line for the Rams has played really well. They're really young. They get after the quarterback. Jalen Hurts has 38 sacks on the season. Sacks are a quarterback stat. And when we're looking at Jalen Hurts this year, he's not played very well, in my opinion. In the last 5 games, he's thrown for over 150 yards only one time. So there's a lot of pressure on him if they can shut down this run game. I know that's a lot to ask because Saquon's a heck of a player, but like Pete said, there's 2 advantages the Rams have right now over the Eagles. They have the better coach and they have the better quarterback, and that matters the most in the playoffs. We've seen Matt Stafford do this. Obviously, Jalen Hurts has made the Super Bowl, but I trust Matt Stafford more than I trust Jalen Hurts. Looking at this offense, if Saquon's not running crazy and wild, then they struggle. And they've kept a lot of games closer than they probably should. So I really think that the Rams will win this outright. That's going to be my pick. I would totally pick them to win this game. I don't really care about the weather too much. I mean, we can get into that, but it's playoff football. I think Matt Stafford's going to do just fine. Puka Nacua, and I'm not sure which one of you said it. I came in late, but one of you was talking about Cooper Kupp. I think Cooper Kupp's going to be really important for this game too. We need to see him show up because he's kind of been vacant for the last little bit. But I'm going to trust the Rams offense. I think they can get it done and shock a lot of people.
Tyler, I saw you nodding your head, so you can go, and then Steve, if you haven't gone yet, you can feel free to jump in right after Tyler.
Okay.
Yeah. I agree, actually. I was really worried here with all the conversation going on that I was going to be the only one to pick the Rams, but Matt laid it out perfectly. I mean, we've talked about the coach, the quarterback advantage. Those two have been together long enough. They know each other. They know how this game plays, especially in the playoffs. So give me that uptick there. Like that advantage is huge. That's the 2 most important positions, on a football team pretty much. Obviously, you have to have a well-rounded one. But I truly think what's about to happen is I think the Rams are going to win. I think it'll be close, but I think the Rams will win. I think Jalen Hurts will have a stinker of a game. And then I think that Nick Sirianni will be on the hot seat real quick. There's already been rumblings about it, even though they're sitting here at 14-3, which is absurd. But I truly think that Sean McVay and Matt Stafford will get this offense going. It'll be a close game. But I take the Rams to win outright here, and I think they will. I think they'll make Saquon, they'll make him earn every yard he gets. It's a young defense. And I think they'll get after Jalen Hurts. If sacks are truly a quarterback stat, like we have been saying, Hurts hasn't played well, and this team can get after the quarterback. So give me the Rams outright regardless.
The only pushback I'd have on that, then and then sorry, Steve, but it's just like the whole sack being a stat, and yes, it's true, but like I don't see Jalen Hurts holding on to the ball like Sam Darnold was. Jalen Hurts hasn't played great this year. Also, like Pete said, hasn't been able to do a lot. But I also think if the offensive line caves in for whatever reason, Jalen does have that ability to just tuck it and run. He's not going to sit back there like Sam Darnold on Monday night to the point where the Minnesota commentators were screaming at him to just run the ball. But that's the only pushback I'd have on that. But Steve, go ahead. Steve, you wait.
Oh, Jamie wants to know what are you drinking over there? I hope it's not a girly foo-foo drink. What are you drinking?
That's actually, I mean, people hate it just as much. It's actually a Coors Light, so people hate that just as much. But no
Toast
whiskey
Rockies.
tonight. Yeah. Toast to the Rockies.
Yeah,
my cheers to the Denver Broncos on a good season.
You have 2 pairs of
I love
gloves the whole time.
Samsonite. I was way off.
Yeah, the Rams, I like them with the points. I think the spread should have been like 3 or 4, maybe 4 at most. Again, coaching advantage with McVay, quarterback advantage with Stafford. That's why I like them over the Vikings last week, and obviously that came through. Obviously, they got a ton of pressure on Darnold. I don't see them quite getting that pressure against Hurts, but Hurts, again, he's not really playing great. He's always kind of been a little wishy-washy as a quarterback. A.J. Brown's a little bit banged up, didn't practice again. I know he's going to play, but they're kind of resting him. I know his knee's a little bit banged up. Devonta Smith might be a little bit banged up. But the Rams defense, last few weeks against the Niners, hold them to 6. Okay, the Jets 9, Arizona 9, and then last week Minnesota 9. So maybe they're kind of figuring something out a little bit here on defense. It is quite possible. The Rams offense in that stretch was not good. I mean, after Buffalo, they kind of disappeared, but then they picked it back up against Minnesota last week. But yeah, I got to go with Stafford and McVay to cover this game. Now to win outright, I think I'm going to go with the Rams here too. I think it's going to be tough because I see Saquon Barkley and he ran for 255 against them. You said, Mike. I mean, that's just
255 yards rushing from Saquon and 47 yards receiving.
That's absolutely roasting a defense. So can the Rams can they hold them under 150? Can they hold them under 100? I don't know. Saquon I think he could be the X factor in this game. And obviously their defense and being at home. And then the Rams obviously having to go from Arizona, not in the fire thing could affect them here. Now having to go to the East Coast. But I got to pick a bold pick, at least one of these picks. So I'm going to go with the Rams plus 225 in the money line. And then, plus 6 on the spread I like for sure.
So you're picking the Rams just to not be bland?
Well, I mean, I could see them winning.
I get it.
Out of the biggest underdogs here. So they're my top choice here. So yeah, I'll go with the Rams to get it done with the W as well.
Yeah, you guys got me second guessing here. I mean, I do think there's something to be said about having the advantage at quarterback and coach. That last game was ugly. This is a different defense for the Rams, but
listen, there is something to be said for the quarterback and the coach. There absolutely is, 1,000%. But there's also something to be said in playoff football of having the best running game. And that's what the Eagles have. Yeah, there's been a lot of playoff runs where the best of the better running teams usually win out. It's usually the case.
When I make this spread, though, I feel like it's just really the home field advantage. Like, I feel like these teams are pretty close when you compare everything: quarterback, coach, offensive personnel, defensive personnel. So I think it's the home field really, and the fact that the Rams have to travel, that gives the Eagles the edge here.
They are definitely close for sure.
You said they have the edge there, but you're still taking the Rams on spread and money though, right?
Yeah, I'm taking the Rams. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So around the room, I'm taking Eagles. Anthony, your Eagles as well, right?
I'm going to go to Rams. I'm going to switch my pick and go. I'm going to go with my gut.
Oh God! All right. Fuck.
Okay. Sorry.
But you're taking Rams, and you're taking Rams to cover, obviously, which you said that.
So who's not going Rams here? Who's going?
It's me and you. It's me and you.
All right. So I'm taking all right. So Eagles money line. All right.
What do we think about the score in this game? Total's 43.5.
I think it's going. I think it's going under personally.
Yeah. So if the Rams win, it has to go under. Because I see a situation, if this is a close game, like the Eagles kicker, Jake Elliott, has missed a lot of kicks this year. And if they're, if this is a tie game, or if they're trailing by 1 or 2 and it comes down to Jake Elliott, I think he botches it. I think it's going to be one of those type of games.
I could see him missing a kick at some point for sure. I just still think the Eagles just win this game. So.
One little nugget that doesn't really matter too much. Rams are the
perfect. Let's hear it.
Least penalized team in the NFL.
That matters.
So coaching matters.
It does matter. Yeah.
Eagles are 11th, so it's not like they're in a bad spot either. 91 to 103. Turnover differential, Eagles are plus 11. That's 6th best. Rams are plus 6 at 10th best. And then average margin of victory, Eagles 12.9 points on their margins for victory, and Rams 5.9, which is 30th in the NFL. But yeah, me and Hoff will take the Eagles, and you guys are on the Rams. Did Coach take Eagles or Rams? Does anybody remember?
I think I put it, unless you got rid of it. I think I put it in the doc there, unless you deleted it. I forget.
Well, we'll circle back.
We'll figure it out. We will circle back on it. All right, let's get to the final game of the divisional round. On Sunday at 3:00? No, it's not 3:00.
No, this is going to get
6:30.
6:30. I apologize. Yeah, sorry, I had the wrong time on that. But it is the Baltimore Ravens at the Buffalo Bills. MVP candidate against MVP candidate. The Baltimore Ravens are the road favorite as of right meow by 1.5. The over-under in this one is 51.5. If I'm picking this game, which obviously I am because that's why I'm on the show and I'm picking the game right now, so I don't know why I just fucking said that, but I am picking the game, and I'm going to go ahead. I'm taking the Baltimore Ravens here to win this game. I do think it's a very close game. I actually like the over in this game, unless the weather gets out of hand, which, from my general understanding, I don't think it is supposed to get out of hand.
It's gonna be cold as shit with a chance for snow, basically.
Yeah, all right. This is, to me, all right, and this
typical
bleeds a lot
Buffalo
into
weather.
right, and this bleeds a lot into what I was saying though about the Philadelphia Eagles having one of the better running games of football. The Baltimore Ravens have Derrick Henry. This is why they got Derrick Henry. Now, granted, they also got Derrick Henry because when they were in the AFC Championship last year, they decided to only run the ball about 6 times. And then they decided, well, let's not only run the ball, let's go get one of the best running backs in football, even though, some people will tell you that his birth certificate says he's not good anymore. I think this is going to be a prime, hand it off to Derrick Henry, let him go. I think this is going to be, we saw Lamar Jackson running like his hair was on fire last week. Not like he didn't do that all year long, but I think we see a lot of that. I think we see a very much a dynamic duo between the two of them. And, as critical as I am of Josh Allen of times, and that's more so only because I say he's not elite, and some people in here get very upset by that. I actually think he's going to play well in this game. I don't expect I don't expect some meltdown here, but I just think the Ravens are just going to be the better team this week. That's it. That's all it is. It's two incredible teams playing. In a perfect world, this would just be our Super Bowl because it's just two fantastic teams playing. It's going to be a great game. It's going to be a nice crescendo to the NFL Divisional Round, but I'm going Baltimore Ravens on this one. And like I told you guys, the Eagle game was harder to think about than this one for me. So give me the Baltimore Ravens. I will go to Tyler first. Let's go Tyler on this one. Then let's go over to Pete, and then we'll just figure it out from there. Tyler, what's this?
Yeah, I'm also going the Ravens here for sure. I think this. I love this game, like you said. It's the perfect matchup to see who the MVP, who it should be or who it should have been. Either way. Regardless,
because they already voted on it, but people like you and me and all social media, we're going to debate it until they physically announce it. So yeah,
exactly. So regardless, I love this game. I would love to watch this over and over again. I think it will be, a very competitive game. Like you said, if this was our Super Bowl, I would not be upset at all. You alluded to the running game for the Ravens. Listen, Derrick Henry is like a Yeti, dude. He is a mammoth of a man, and when it gets cold outside, especially if it's in the snow for some reason, he loves to just take over games. That's going to be a deciding factor here. I'm not saying that Josh Allen's going to play bad. I think they'll actually play really good, but I think that the Ravens offense will show that they're a little bit more explosive and they're a little bit more complete. A lot of people have doubted Lamar, as a passer in his career, and they're saying, Zay Flowers is him being questionable. He may not play. That's going to hurt. While it will hurt a little bit, a lot of people have also slept on his connection with Rashad Bateman a lot this year. It seems like almost every game Rashad Bateman has scored a touchdown. So that's one thing that I think to keep an eye on, especially if you're doing some, weird picks as far as let's see if I can get a touchdown in all these games. Watch out for Rashad Bateman's touchdown anytime there. Also, they have Mark Andrews. We talked about Kelsey earlier and him coming back in full force for these playoff runs. I think Mark Andrews will do the same thing. So I think the offense of the Ravens might be a little bit too much for the Bills to handle here. But I do think it'll be a really close game. But like I said, Lamar Jackson, he's my MVP, man.
All right. There you go. All right. We'll go Pete, Matt, Steve, and then Anthony. You can round it out. Go ahead, Pete. We got Petey.
Yeah. which comes to no surprise, I will be taking the Bills. Shocker. Yeah, no shit, right? I think I think a lot of people are overrating this Ravens defense right now. Ravens defense has played much better over the last half of the year. Up to week 10, they were 27th in EPA on the year. Bills defense, for what it's worth, fantasy football makes us think that defenses are worse than they really are because you look at average points per game and, the Bills against the run to running backs and all this. But Bills defense consistently over the year have been top 10 in EPA all season. They have been where they are currently all year long. They have been above average. Okay. And the Ravens defense, they've gotten better, but it's been against, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it again, like I talked about with the Lions, but it's been against inferior talent. Like the offenses that they have played, that they've beat up on, the Texans without Tank Dell, we never know what Texans team we're getting. The Browns, who had DTR out there, and whoever else, I don't even know who it was. The Steelers, whose offense was completely reeling. Then they played the Giants. That was the last 4 weeks going into the playoffs. Okay, they got some really favorable matchups, and you play who's on your schedule. But I just think that the Ravens defense has been slightly overrated because after those 4 games, the next game they played the Eagles, they lost 24-19. The last good offense, and I get this Eagles offense doesn't feel good because they're not sexy and they're not exciting, but the last good offense that they played put up 24 points on them and they lost. They played the Chargers the week before that. I don't think they had J.K. Dobbins in that game, and the Chargers put up 23 and they beat them 30-23. Then they lost to the Steelers the week before, and then this Bengals offense put up 34 points against them. So I just think that, it seems like it's very close because both of these offenses are phenomenal. But I do think that the Bills defense honestly is better at this point in time. I know it sounds crazy because over the course of the year, it seems like they lost a lot of pieces, but I just think that they're at home. I think they have the better defense. And right now, I just trust Josh Allen in big games more than I trust Lamar Jackson. Okay, Lamar had a good game last week. He played against a bad team in the Steelers. You play who you play. There's nothing wrong with that. But I trust the ball in one guy's hands. If this is a close game, give me the guy that's done it in the playoffs when the games mattered in a tight situation over the other guy who is kind of folded and the guy that's at home, which is Josh Allen. And I know it sounds crazy, but the facts are the facts. Lamar has crumbled in these big games in the playoffs, and Josh Allen, he may not get the wins, but he has performed well in clutch time. No, we're not going to make it in the whole playoff.
We're not. I just knew that was going to get brought up at some point.
No, but just give me the quarterback that's at home that has performed the best out of the two and much better when the game matters the most and the game is on the line. And it's been Josh Allen. So that's kind of my rationale there.
Can I also interject, though, that they did play in week 5 and the Ravens won 35-10?
Absolutely. But these are two different teams. I mean, at the time, this Bills defense didn't have Matt Milano. They didn't have one of their best guys in the secondary.
Bernard was out too.
Bernard was out too. Their 3 best defenders weren't playing. Yeah,
I agree, but that doesn't say for anything. That's true, but that doesn't account for the fact that the Bills only scored 10 points. The defensive players don't play offense. So there is something to be said about Baltimore's defense holding this offense under wraps.
But that was also the beginning of the year with an offense that Josh Allen only threw Khalil Shakir. He was the only wide receiver. John Coleman was a rookie, and he's gotten better as the season's progressed. I think points valid, Tyler. I do think it's a fair point. I just think it's early in the season, and Josh Allen didn't have much. They didn't really know.
A lot of breaking up over there. Pete's breaking up a little bit over there. All right, we're gonna move on to Matt while Pete gets his internet and the cook in there. But I will just say, both the Bills and the Ravens have allowed 20.8 points per game this season. So. But I'm sure we'll get a rebuttal at some point from Pete. But let's go to Matt. Matt, what says you on this one? Then we'll go to Steve, and then we'll go to Anthony. and then we'll just yell at each other until the show ends.
I might just be echoing what Pete just said, to be honest, because I'm in complete
son
agreement.
Of a bitch.
I figured that's coming. But I think when you really break it down, Josh Allen is the quarterback that I trust the most. Certainly Lamar has had an incredible year passing the ball, insanely efficient. What is it? 41 passing touchdowns and only 4 interceptions or something crazy like that. That surprises me because Lamar has not been an efficient passer, and it's kind of been the asset of his game that's been the most uncomfortable for him. As it stands right now for the Bills, though, I think what Pete was alluding to is correct, that this defense is a little bit underrated and the Ravens defense might be a little bit inflated or overrated. When looking at their last few games, just in the last 3, Baltimore is number 1 against the run. They've only allowed 47.7 yards on the ground, but kind of like what Pete said, who are they playing? Not anybody that's really scaring you, to be honest. I think that this game being in Buffalo matters a lot. That crowd is different. It's a different environment than a lot of other stadiums. And, that is something we talk about a lot in college football, but in the NFL, there's a few stadiums where that impacts games. And Buffalo is one of those. That crowd is insane. Buffalo has been insanely consistent across the entire season, both on offense and defense. Yes, they did get smacked by the Ravens in week 5, but really since that, were they beat down like that from anybody else? No, they've gone out there and they've pretty much beat everyone. You take away that week 18 game against the Patriots where it didn't matter. They lost the Ravens and they lost to the Texans, and then they went on a run. And their only other loss was to the Rams, and it was by 2 points. It was a heck of a game. So for me, I'm comfortable with the Bills. I'm going to roll with the Bills. They were my Super Bowl pick. And, I'll close it out here. I've got coach's pick too, if you want me to go ahead and say that. And it is, quote, Josh Allen is elite. There you go.
Well, sure. Says some people. Steve, you're one of those people. What says you?
Yeah, I'll first say Lamar Jackson has played better than he's ever played by far. He's been absolutely elite this year. He looks unstoppable at times, the way he's just moving around the pocket, creating time, more time, making plays like that play to Justice Hill last week. That was kind of just signifies of what he's kind of been doing all year. So if he ends up winning MVP, which it seems he's going to win, I have no issue with it, really. I mean, I think Allen should get it, but I have no issue. I mean, I think Lamar, you could argue, is playing just as good as Allen.
If there was ever a year that they could split it again.
I mean, he's playing unbelievable. And then you couple that with Derrick Henry. And Derrick Henry, you could argue, looks better than, or as good as he ever looked in his career too. I mean, it's amazing that he's 31 years old. He's still breaking these big runs. And obviously having Lamar, I think that opens up things, the better offensive line than he had the past couple seasons with that shit Titans team as well. So this team is dangerous. They're well coached. Titans. This freaking team could easily win the whole thing. They could easily win the Super Bowl. I thought, the spread my spread would have been Buffalo -1, Buffalo -2. So to see them as an underdog, a little surprising, but I guess not. I mean, for me, it was. So I'm taking Buffalo. I remember the game. I remember watching the Buffalo-Baltimore game. You guys remember that game swung? Remember when they tried that trick play? And Roquan Smith, I think, just like nailed Allen in the head. And I think he was concussed after that. I really do, because that play changed the whole game. And they opened up with Derrick Henry with like a 70-yard run in that game too. So they opened it up. It was kind of just the Ravens game the whole time. And then when the Bills started to get back a little bit, they ran that trick play, which was a terrible call. It didn't work. Allen fumbled. He got mollywopped. And then the next week at the Texans, he was like pale as shit the whole game. And they lost. I think he was concussed in that game too. They lost that game the following week as well. But this is going to be an epic game, epic battle. I feel like whoever wins this game deserves to win the MVP. I wish that's the way we could do it, but I know that's not the way it works. So it's going to be an incredible game. I think what Pete said about Baltimore's defense being a little overrated, I think that makes sense. If you look at theirs, for the year, they're one of the worst teams against quarterbacks and receivers. Of late, they're one of the best. But again, they haven't really played anybody. Buffalo, again, they didn't have Bernard, didn't have Milano, 2 huge pieces to their defense. So that is definitely going to make a difference. And I just think The last 2 years, Buffalo losing to the Bengals at home, and then last year to the Chiefs at home. And it is Buffalo. I mean, we saw them lose 4 straight Super Bowls. So, like I say, if they can't win with Josh Allen, a Super Bowl with Josh Allen, they are never probably going to win a Super Bowl. So, will it happen this year? Is it Lamar's time? Is it Allen's time? Is it Mahomes just continue to dominate? Who knows? But I do think Buffalo at home, Josh Allen, I think both quarterbacks will play great. I think both quarterbacks will play awesome. I think this will probably come down to like the last drive, maybe, a turnover, maybe a field goal, maybe Tyler Bass gets some redemption after missing that field goal against the Chiefs last year. That would be a good story. Obviously, we all know about Scott Norwood and Super Bowl against the Giants. So the Bills, they have a disastrous history. So the Bills at home, Josh Allen, and, just them getting a little redemption here. I think they get it done. So, yeah, Bills all the way.
Anthony? Bills all the way. What do you got?
So I want to open up about clear the water on Josh Allen.
All the way.
I do believe that when Josh Allen retires, he's going to be a Hall of Famer, but in the Buffalo Bills Hall of Fame. I do think he's a lock for that. So let's start there. Number 2, you guys are talking about trusting Josh Allen more. Josh Allen's only 2 games better than Lamar Jackson in the playoffs. You're acting like this is like Joe Montana versus Dak Prescott. It's a 2-game difference. So I think this is an evenly matched game, right?
Not wrong.
Defenses are going to be good. I don't love either side's wide receiver room. The edge in this game is Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, 5 out of his past 6 games, over 120 total yards down the stretch. He played his best game of the year against Buffalo earlier this year, 209 total yards, a couple of touchdowns. He's going to be the difference maker in this football game. I don't see a world where Derrick Henry can be stopped right now. And this isn't about Lamar. This isn't about Josh Allen. This, to me, is all about why they brought Derrick Henry onto this team and the tear he's been on down the stretch. He's not slowing down. And it seems like, we talk about a team of destiny. I think Derrick Henry is a player of destiny right now. So I will comfortably take Baltimore in this game to win and obviously cover the 1-point spread. But, all kidding aside about quarterback, this is going to be a Derrick Henry game. And when these two teams played earlier this year, James Cook had a big run or a big reception, 9 for 39 on the ground. It was a one-dimensional game. And the Bills just, I don't love their wide receivers. Amari Cooper hasn't done anything. Keon Coleman's played better. Shaquille's just, he's okay. But if you make Buffalo one-dimensional again, I think it's going to be a long afternoon. The Bills have to find a way to run the football this week with their running backs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but James Cook has proved that he can do that. Do you not trust James Cook to do that this week?
If I'm picking a running back who can outdo the other running back, I'm gonna go with Derrick Henry.
And that's the one thing, as bad as the Ravens defense has been at times, their run defense has always gotten the job done. It's been their pass defense, which has been their Achilles heel, not the run.
I actually think that the Bills should come out passing a little bit in this game because I think they could be running into the strength of the Ravens defense if they come out running and they try to slow. So I think they start fast. I think they got to get Cooper involved, and I think Cooper could have a big game here. I really think they should come out passing, more so. I mean, if they, they'll obviously going to try to run the ball, but I think it may not work as well as they like to. So I think they're going to have to throw a little bit more in this game.
I don't mind the whole philosophy of coming out passing a bit. I don't. I get it.
Sort of like what the Rams did last week.
I just think there's going to be other means besides just like Cooper Kupp. I don't think that means like Cooper Kupp, Amari Cooper. Sorry, I've got Cooper Kupp PTSD.
I mean, they have multiple guys. Like Keon Coleman was their lead touchdown.
I don't know what's going on with Amari Cooper since he got there. It's been very disappointing.
He's not playing much. Like these other guys are running. Matt Collins is running more routes than him.
Yeah.
I don't hate the take though of Buffalo coming out throwing the ball. I think it's going to come down to the running game, and with Anthony, it's not even like we can have fun and we can we can go back and forth about the quarterbacks all day and have a good time with it. But to me, this is Derrick Henry. This is why they brought Derrick Henry in. I said it at first, they brought Derrick Henry in after they only stupidly decided to run the ball 6 times during the AFC Championship. They brought him in to close the deal. This is one of those times where they got to close the deal. This is the Buffalo Bills. I mean, this ought to be the AFC Championship. So close the deal, feed Derrick Henry early and often, ride him till the wheels fall off. That's where I think the edge is.
I will say this too. I think whoever wins,
Lamar Jackson numbers up there.
I'm just saying.
Let me just say, whoever wins.
So you don't want to talk about the quarterbacks, but you do. He's so
No.
Go ahead.
I just was getting this ready because Anthony said that Josh Allen's 2 games better. These are Lamar's stats in the playoffs: 8 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. I mean, do you want to see Josh Allen's?
Here comes. Here turns into a Josh Allen conversation.
We got to stay facts.
Lamar now is Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is the
James Cook is not Derrick Henry, but he's playing at an all.
You guys bust out the loop, play the slow jazz, watch some Josh Allen film.
James Cook is leading the NFL in touchdowns.
James Cook everybody. 9 for 39 the last time these 2 teams played.
Okay, these are different teams. That was week 3.
Wait, they are still the same teams.
What was James Cook's second worst game on the year outside of that?
These are still the same teams playing.
No, I'm just saying. What's outside of that one game? Name another bad game he had this year. I'd like to know. Maybe he has had another bad game this year. I'm sure he has, but
he's averaging 5 yards per carry.
Yeah, he's been amazing. And this Buffalo Bills offensive line is monster.
He's got 16 touchdowns.
These dudes are monsters.
They can definitely run the ball. But I mean,
their offensive line is better than the Ravens. It's not even close.
If you say to me, it's sorry, all right, I get it. The Buffalo Bills are the greatest team ever. Josh Allen,
don't try to
that's the problem. Outside every single fucking stadium. I understand.
You're discrediting what I'm saying.
No, I'm not. Can you stop? I'm not even talking about fucking Josh Allen. If you're taking a running game right now, if somebody says to you, Pete, you could take one running game into the game that you got to win, are you taking the Baltimore running game with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, or are you taking the Buffalo Bills with James Cook and Josh Allen?
I'm taking the Ravens, but are we acting like it's that far off, though? But it's not that big of an advantage.
It's not that you're far
pass
off.
Defense-wise,
the spread's only 1.5.
The Bills have a huge advantage compared to the Ravens on their pass defense.
It's not far off. It's only far off because you're being sensitive about your love for Josh Allen.
But what I'm saying is the gap between their pass defenses compared to the run defenses is way bigger.
Mike, to be fair, you seem very defensive every time Josh Allen stats come up. You always
no, don't do that, because I actually told you guys. I told you guys earlier in the year, if you remember, when Buffalo embarrassed the Niners in the snow, I told you guys I was rooting for Josh Allen to win the Super Bowl. I told you guys, and I told you guys I wouldn't mind calling him elite if he won the Super Bowl. So you can't use that against me, because I physically said that to you boys, and I mean it. I would love to see him win a Super Bowl. I like Baltimore in this matchup.
Throughout the show,
I just hate this
try
whole
to bring
thing.
up stats. But go ahead.
He was the guy who flashed fucking stats on the screen. That's why I said here we go with stats.
Josh Allen just threw for 272 against one of the best DVOA and EPA defense in the entire NFL. I'm just saying, and he didn't have any issues running against Denver, who had one of the highest pressure rates and the most sacks in the entire NFL, and he had no issue. Who would you rather tackle it's going to be like 9 degrees in this game. Lamar has never played in a game that's under 20, by the way. Who would you rather tackle? Josh Allen, who's going to run through your face mask, or Lamar Jackson, who's just going to be slippery? I mean, it's going to be cold.
It's hard to conversation. That's the problem. But it's hard to tackle Lamar Jackson. It's hard to get.
I agree.
It's the conversation we keep having, but at the end of the day, I'm telling you, it's about Derrick Henry. It's about Derrick Henry.
Tell
me all day about. Okay,
I don't. But
Pete,
Josh Allen is just as dangerous. All of these guys are just as dangerous.
One more question. One more question. Pete, don't worry. The parents will stop fighting in a second. Pete.
Here, right. James Cook is now on the screen. Folks.
Is that Josh Allen?
You guys are crazy.
Who would you rather have?
James Cook has entered the screen.
He's averaging 5 yards a carry, dude.
Pete, this is the thing you're not understanding.
Every time James Cook gets the ball 2 times, it's a first down this year. Every time. If he gets the ball twice, it's a first down. All year, that's what it's
All
been.
right, now do Derrick Henry.
Okay, he's been good as well. So then it's really about the quarterbacks, and I trust Josh more.
It's not.
So you're telling me it's a push between Derrick Henry and fucking James Cook?
Dude, we're talking about this year's level of play. Henry's been amazing, but James Cook has been – look at James Cook's stats.
Listen, can I say something? Can I say something now?
Don't do that, Pete.
Listen, Derrick Henry is an advantage, obviously, but James Cook has been great.
Thanks.
Year, okay,
fine.
That's all I'm saying. But if I'm capping this game, I'm giving the advantage, the run advantage.
Derrick Henry ran for 900 more yards.
Everybody else.
How many more carries did he have? What the fuck?
The Ravens as a team.
Guys, everybody shut up. Everybody shut up. Let's give Matt and Tyler a second to speak, okay? Matt, go ahead. Tyler, go ahead.
I'll split this both ways because I see what Pete's trying to say, I think. And I also hear what you guys are saying. The Ravens as a team have rushed for almost 1,000 more yards than the Bills. They have almost 3,200. I'm going to round up 3,200 rush yards on the season. The Bills have just over 2,200 rush yards on the season. So there's no doubt the Ravens are really, really good at running the ball. Now, that being said, I get what Pete's saying, and this team is still a good team running the ball because the Bills ran the ball fewer times. So I get that he had more yards. He has their yard per carry is not that different. James Cook
ran
over
125
Derrick
times
Henry's
more.
a full yard per carry.
He ran 125 more yards, and
but don't you think the efficiency would be lower?
Lamar is much more of a threat. They're in the read option. It's way bigger of a threat.
So he ran the ball 125 more times than he averaged.
How much does Josh Allen run read option with James Cook? Be honest. They don't run it like that. They run power runs with Josh Allen. Read option is you're telling me you understand how hard it is to defend Lamar and Derrick Henry in read option? Of course he has more yards per carry. Right. He ran the ball 125 more times. Dude. All right, whatever.
All right. Listen. When I cap the game, I give a point for the running game for Derrick Henry and the Ravens. That's all I'm going to say. But both running games are very effective. Derrick Henry and Lamar is almost like a cheat code, and they're helping each other basically. So it's going to be a tough task. It's going to be an incredible game. We've all made great points here. I don't think anybody's really wrong. I could see both. Like I was going to say earlier, I think whoever wins this game wins the Super Bowl.
Tyler?
Tyler. Sorry, it like cut out for me, so I didn't get to hear that. I was in the middle of hearing Steve talk.
No, it was fine. It was nice to have some awkward sounds for a moment.
It's okay.
Super chat from ATL Mikey there, real quick.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. Go ahead, Tyler.
So here's the thing: we can compare these teams all day, every day. We know it's going to be a great game. It doesn't matter. Everybody has their opinions on who the better quarterback is. I think we all kind of agree career-wise anyway. We'd give it to Derrick Henry, obviously. Now, yes, James Cook has been good this year, averaging 5 yards a carry. We've also pointed out Derrick Henry's is 5.9 on 100 and some more carries. Okay. Regardless of all those stats, we still have to get to the fact of this is going to be a cold game. It's going to come down to the little X's and O's and just the better overall attack, I think. That's why I give it to the Ravens. It will be about who makes more mistakes in this game. If Lamar makes a ton of mistakes, which he hasn't this year, he's, like we said, 41-4 touchdown to interception ratio. Wow. Versus Josh Allen at 28-6. Both of these guys have played well all year, but it's just going to come down to who makes more mistakes. I think that, Josh Allen is prone to make a mistake or two. But that being said, it may not all be on Josh Allen to make those mistakes. It could be a James Cook fumble. It could be a wrong route by the rookie of Keon Coleman. It could be anything that happens there. I would just take the ball security of Derrick Henry and the Ravens there. And then that's just kind of how I'll leave it for you guys.
So the last thing I want to ask you guys, two things. One, total turnover differential. Bills are plus 24 number 1 in the NFL. Ravens only are at +6, 10th in the NFL. 24-6 in terms of the turnover differential. That's number 1. I think to Tyler's point, if it's coming up on ball security, Bills have taken the ball away much more than they've given it away. But does Zay Flowers matter to you guys in this game? Because that has literally not been discussed the entire time. I mean,
not incredibly much.
If the Bills can somewhat, like, maybe not stop them, but contain this rushing attack, do you guys have any worry? Because the Bills secondary is really good. Bednar's been an all-pro corner.
The first time these two teams played, Justice Hill was a leading receiver. And everybody else, and Derrick Henry was the second leading receiver in receptions. The wide receivers and tight ends all had 1 reception.
I meant Benford, by the way, not Bednar. But Bernard, that's the middle linebacker, by the way.
Sorry. So, yeah, Buffalo did its job. They took away the passing attack. What they couldn't stop were the running backs.
Yeah, I think both passing games are getting taken away quick on this one. It's just going to be running. That's what I think this is.
No, I think.
Well, I do.
I think Josh Allen has a better chance of getting going than Lamar.
No,
sure.
I agree. I think the Bills will be able to pass in the Ravens. I expect Allen. I could see Allen having 300 yards passing in this game. Actually, like 2 or 3 passing touchdowns. Zay Flowers, we'll see. He didn't practice again today. I think they can figure it out though without him. They got Likely they throw in there, Bateman. They got Aguilar. They'll figure something out. They'll get Justice Hill involved in the passing game as well. Obviously, if he's back, that's huge. But is he going to be 100%? Probably not.
What
Matt,
was the
what were you going to say, Matt?
Or go ahead, Matt. You do that, and then we'll pull up.
I think it matters. That's kind of what I was working to before we got our little implosion there. But I think it matters. I mean, Lamar had 41 passing touchdowns on the year. And we can sit here and talk about all the rush yards, but if we're comparing rushing touchdowns, the Bills had 32. The Ravens had 21. So I think that losing Zay Flowers matters at least a little bit. Oh, yeah. And like I think Anthony just said, if you contain the run game, then it's going to impact that a little bit more. Yeah. But this Bills defense, I think, deserves the credit to shut down the Baltimore pass catchers. And if they do, then it's shut down the run. And, I think they're equipped to do that.
Zay Flowers only had 4 receiving touchdowns this year.
That's true. I think that's true. I think 4 is the right number. I know it's 4 or 5.
Fucking Rashad Bateman out of nowhere.
Yeah, Bateman stole a lot of those touchdowns. I think Lamar is going to create. I think he's going to create pass. He's going to extend plays. He's going to find guys wide open. He's been doing that all season long. So between the Bills trying to stop him and Henry and these guys running around, him creating time, I think it's going to be a tough test. And that's why the total is 51.5. So obviously Vegas has projected both teams to score a shitload of points. And I think a lot of that is going to come, in the running game, but also through the passing game. And again, I think the Bills' best path might be to rely on the arm of Josh Allen here. We'll see what happens.
Let's also not forget.
Good.
Let's also not forget. We'll end it on a little bit of a lighthearted note. Johnson today. So,
what'd you say?
Just in case you needed a lighthearted, they still have depth. There you go.
That's right. There you go. You're right.
Yeah.
Good point.
He's actually not even. I don't think he's even allowed to play. He's not allowed to play on the team.
It doesn't matter. It still happened. Still a thing.
He's still there. He's still there. Morale booster. There you go.
And Willie Snead, they got too. He's coming back. Willie Snead.
Matt, what were you gonna say, Matt?
I just want to end it on here too. And we're talking a lot about the run game, and I love the run game. It's my favorite part of football. The Ravens have 9 rushing fumbles. Buffalo has 2. Who's going to hold on to the ball? Who's going to put it on the ground? We'll have to see. But I think whoever wins the rushing game will win the game.
And don't forget the Bills. I think the home field advantage is enormous. So
yeah,
but it hasn't worked for them the last 2 years. So we'll see.
Yeah, and let's just not forget this either before we get out of here. These are important things to just remember.
Yeah, sure, Steve. But make sure you tell me that I'm the one that brought up stats.
You can't change facts.
Jesus Christ. Pete and Steve are gonna snuggle up in their Josh Allen pajamas, send each other some selfies.
Every time Josh Allen comes up, Mike goes, "Here we go."
No, because
not again. Here we go.
Steve, did you not just see him flash the stats on the goddamn screen
with a graphic? Come on.
You know what?
Put some holy water on.
I got more James Cook. He's a multi-sport athlete.
Steve,
more James Cook.
I don't know if your screen has some fucking malfunctions over there. Did you not see Pete flash stats on the screen, to which I reacted to? Did you not see that?
No, but I heard you say
there's something wrong with your monitor over there.
No, but this isn't just today. You've been doing this all year. So
and you've been and you haven't shut up about Josh Allen being elite all year. Here we are. This is where we're at.
Because he's elite. And he's
I know he's the fucking greatest guy of all time. What was the super chat?
That's what I'm saying. I say he's elite, and you say he's the greatest guy of all time. I'm not saying he's the greatest guy.
He is the greatest guy of all time. No, they broke the mold when they made that guy. I tell you what. Well, where was the ATL super chat? For Christ's fucking sake.
He kind of does fit that like Superman mold a little bit.
Yeah,
Josh Allen. No, but let's be real. Josh Allen and Romo said it, and it's fair. He is a modern day Elway. They're very very similar. Rocket arm. He's obviously a better runner than Elway, but they are very similar.
These two quarterbacks are both going to go down in history as two of the best all time, in my opinion.
Okay,
that's all I got to say. Anthony, you done? You got nothing else? You done?
I'm good.
No, we just enjoy a great game.
You guys are going to keep bringing up stats and getting upset with me. I would have a comment, but if I have a comment, then I'm going to get told that I always say negative things.
You guys missed when me and Pete went at it about Donta Foreman and Dalvin Cook. This year.
Yeah.
The most irrelevant argument we could have had.
So who won?
I think Anthony
won. Donta Foreman was still getting burned at the end of the year. He's still chugging along.
I think Donta Foreman had 70 yards. I think Dalvin had 5 this year.
No, Donta had a touchdown. I think he fumbled at the one a couple times. Actually.
Yeah, but and then we'll wrap up. It is crazy to me though. I didn't know that the Ravens are favored -1.5 on the road. That is kind of surprising to me, but I didn't expect to see that. But
all right. So Anthony and I are taking the Ravens. Is everybody else taking the Bills?
No,
Tyler's taking the Ravens. Okay. Yep. Everybody else taking the
Bills. We're basically split.
Good.
Plus
good.
Coach. 4-3.
Plus Coach. But Coach said Josh Allen's elite. Because,
smart guy. Knows ball.
It's a direct quote.
Yes. Yeah, I saw it. Saw in the group text. Thanks, Matt. Frick. All right. Jesus Christ. God help anybody who says anything not even negative about Josh Allen. I actually said earlier Josh Allen was going to have a good game. I just simply said,
hang on. Before we wrap up, recapping Super Bowl picks here. I have Eagles 27, Bills 30. Steve has Bills 37, Lions 34. Matt has Bills 31, Lions 28. Hoff has Eagles 17, Chiefs 24. Coach has Bills 34, Eagles 24. Anthony has Chiefs 30, Lions 27, and Tyler has Chiefs 31, Lions 34. So
did you guys see this with Jamie just brought this up, the 12-year difference and the 28-year-old quarterbacks of the Ravens?
Yeah. It's wild.
Dilfer was 28, Flacco was 28, and now Lamar's 28, 12 years apiece.
Talk about the team of destiny.
Interesting.
Yeah. There you go.
I didn't see the team playing in Landover, Maryland on there. That's just me.
Yeah. Love it.
All right, Hoff, kick us out.
Oh, we're finally done. All right. I thought we had something else to say about Josh Allen. All right. So there's your NFC Divisional Preview. Hopefully you all snuggle up in your Josh Allen PJs. Get all snuggly good and tight.
I got a shirt for you, Hoff. I got a shirt for you, Hoff. If they get it done, I got a good one for you. I'm going to send it to you.
I bet I'll wipe my ass with it. But until then,
I'll keep it and I'll wear it for the.
Yeah, I know. You can play your slow jazz, put on some hand lotion, and go to town. But until next time, guys, stay thirsty, be kind to one another. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. Here's some stats. Cheers. Hit the fucking button.
Can we end?